Welcome to Midlife Butterfly, where transformation gets real through every twist and turn of your journey. When you are empowered and fully love yourself, you'll embrace the messy, magical process of transformation with open arms. I am Ken as you, and this is your space to feel seen, heard, and inspired by real talk. So you don't just create a life you love, you live it every single day with unapologetic joy and freedom.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Midlife Butterfly podcast with your host, Ken as you. And this time we have a special guest, a beautiful lady who is a transformational life coach, clarity catalyst, trainer, and certified Reiki master, specialized in mindset mastery. Her name is Tina Jett, and she is the founder of LifeWire, where she guides clients through a profound journey of discovery, helping them to align with their purpose, harness their inner strength, and step into a life balance and joy. And in her practice, she intertwines the wisdom of Reiki with dynamic coaching techniques, offering you a unique holistic path to personal and professional fulfillment. And her approach goes beyond traditional methods, harnessing the life-altering power of energy work to amplify your journey of self-discovery and success. So welcome, Tina. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Yeah. So I don't know, besides that introduction that I gave, if you would like to add something else before we dive into our topic today.
I was like, wow, that's me. No, I'm just kidding. But no, that was beautiful. I mean, that's definitely, where my passions lie. So I think you covered it quite well.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Okay. So let's dive into the topic of today, which is boundaries that empower you. So Tina is an expert in this topic. I've been working on that, still, keep working on it. And so I'm very glad that you're here because I know our audience is going to be very interested in knowing which practices they can do to discover more within them so they can then stand up on their own and be able to set the boundaries that are required to live a better life and into their own alignment and truth. So I would like to know which are the main reasons that women struggle to set boundaries?
Beautiful question. Women, as a beautiful, amazing goddesses, we are natural caregivers. We're conditioned to put others first, whether it's our families, our friendships, our careers. We're taught not to fill our cup first. And I think many of us were taught that saying no, like if we were to say no, even though no is a complete sentence, but if we say no, that we're being selfish. And that setting boundaries then in turn makes it difficult for us. I think the biggest reason women struggle setting boundaries is fear. That's what I see. It's there's normally a fear attached to it.
Fear of what or to what?
Number one would be the fear of disappointing others.
Oh.
Or maybe a fear of conflict or a fear of being seen as not nice. We tend as women, we tend to tie our self-worth to what it is that we're giving. And then setting boundaries for us can feel like now we're letting other people down, when actually it's the opposite. When we're setting boundaries, that's the healthy thing to do. And another big reason too would be guilt. So fear and guilt would be the two, I would say. Feeling guilty, women especially.
What is the guilt for prioritizing ourselves instead of others?
Well, the guilt, yeah, I mean, definitely. Yeah, I remember a time in my life where, I did everything for everybody and nothing for myself. And I was almost proud of the fact, in a weird way, that I was like, I'm nowhere on the list. Everybody else is on the list. I'm not on the list. And because if I was on the list, then I would feel guilty about it. And we feel guilty because we're taught to be the fixers. We're taught that we're the ones that need to keep everything running smoothly. And so we set very high expectations on ourselves. And when we are then able to set a boundary, it can feel like we are not showing up in that role as the fixer, like we feel we should, because again, there's an expectation there. And so we kind of, at the expense of our own well-being, then we don't set boundaries. And so, yeah, and then, too, the fear of, how others will react. If we say no to something, what if somebody gets upset with us or angry with us or, things like that? What if we lose a relationship? What if we lose a friendship? Liking us? So all of that comes into play as well. But the truth is boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about really creating a healthier relationship. Okay. So creating a healthier relationship. And when we, as women, are overextending ourselves, which I see it all the time with the clients I work with, they're overextended. Yeah. I've been there. Exhausted. When we're exhausted, what happens? We're resentful. And then the worst part is that we're disconnected then from ourselves and disconnected from our own, what it is that we need. Or worse yet, we don't even know what we need. Like we have no idea. And that's scary.
It is scary. I think. It is scary because, as you said, then we feel resentment against the other people when we are the ones provoking that because we are not filling our own cups first.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to fill our cups first and do it without feeling guilty or selfish. And we do that by learning to set boundaries. And if you haven't been setting boundaries, it's not going to happen overnight, but there's different steps that we can talk about today. But really, we don't want to show up in our relationships because we have to or because it feels forced. We want, when we have boundaries set in place, that is going to protect our energy. Okay. It's going to, when we're protecting our energy, now we're not going to feel as drained. And then now we're going to be able to show up as our best self. And so when we're showing up for our best selves, now we're able to be more present with those around us as well. And then enhance, nurture, and grow our relationships.
Yeah. But then if we come back of that fact that we don't know who we are and what we want because we prioritize others, then how can we be or know who is our best self if we don't know that? We don't know her.
And so it's going on that journey. So it's going on the journey of self-discovery. And how do we do that? By starting to set boundaries, just very simple boundaries, just remembering no is a complete sentence. And then to stop people pleasing. Because if we're people pleasing, that means we're not setting boundaries.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And when I notice, and then more personally, like one of my main wounds is rejection. So I notice how I used to be the pleaser in that trajectory, right? Like, so to avoid the rejection of others, then how I needed to play. And the truth is and I remember when I heard this the first time for a coach or a mentor, I can't remember who this person was. There was like, when you are people pleasing, you're actually manipulating others. And I was like, wow, like, what do you mean? And of course, the victim in me at that time was like, no way. Like, but then when I really stop and reflect on it, we are manipulating people when we're people pleasing because we are not being ourselves. We're just being shaped or shaped on using different masks according to each relationship. So then we please them accordingly. Then,
which is exhausting.
It is. It's so.
And so when you're able to let the people pleasing go, and then you're able to set boundaries, then everything starts getting so much more full of ease. And that's where joy comes in and all of that. So yeah, definitely, you're right. I mean, that's definitely, wounds that can be caused from people pleasing.
Yeah. What other wounds have you experienced with your clients that are some of the causes of
I would
people pleasing?
I would say when I'm working with a client, or even old me before I went through all the work and the transformation, is at the core of it is going to be a need for acceptance, to feel accepted, and also to feel safe. Safety also plays a role in that as well. And so what I mean by that is that whenever somebody struggles with setting boundaries, there's an underlying fear. There's an underlying fear of being abandoned or being rejected, is normally the two things that I see. And all of this stems from childhood experiences.
Yeah.
And, maybe somebody grew up in a home where they felt unconditional love, or maybe they had to earn approval by being good, by being quiet, staying quiet or keeping the peace. That was mine. Keep the peace, stay quiet. And so if we're raised in an environment, on the flip side of that, where our emotions weren't validated, then you might have learned that making other people happy, keeping other people happy, was the safest way to receive love, and then to in turn avoid conflict. So that's where inner child work comes in. That's a whole another thing. I do teach that with one-on-one private clients. But another thing is our self-worth. That's something else that comes in and kind of fuels that as well. So having low self-esteem or low, if somebody grows up, so going back to the inner child, if somebody grows up feeling like their needs are not as important as somebody else, they're going to start believing that they have to prove their worth by overgiving, overcommitting, overperforming, saying yes when they really mean no. Yeah. We need to remember, when we're saying yes to something, we're saying no to something else. And if that no is ourselves, then we need to rethink what we're saying yes and no to.
Yeah, definitely.
And so people pleasing usually comes from past trauma, usually in some form of relationships. It's completely normal. I know I had it. A lot of people have it, but it definitely is something you can work through, and it's not scary to do that. It's not scary to work through it. We just finally start discovering who we are at the core. Right, which is pure being of light. And healing begins when we recognize that, and when we start setting boundaries. Remembering that we're not being unkind and we're not being unloving. And if somebody doesn't like a boundary we're setting, that's on them. That's not for us to take on. It means what it means when we're setting a boundary, again, we're choosing ourselves, not in a selfish way, but we're choosing ourselves. We're choosing to fill our cup first in a way that helps us to show up as our best self. So we're more present with our families, our kids, like I said, our job, our coworkers, whatever it is, our friends, by being our most authentic self. But it starts by showing up for ourselves first and being able to set those boundaries.
Mm-hmm. How can we do that? How can we start?
Well, how can you start? By setting boundaries? Well, so I do everything in baby steps. So the first thing is, let's just get aware of it. A little bit of self-awareness.
Yeah.
And bring in curiosity. Never any judgment. We want to bring in curiosity. So the first step is noticing, and noticing and saying, this is interesting. I feel really drained over this situation, or I feel really resentful because I said yes to planning this party and I really don't want to, or I feel overwhelmed. I feel really overwhelmed over whatever it is that we're doing. Now, those are signs. So when we're feeling drained, when we're feeling resentful, when we're feeling overwhelmed, those are signs that a boundary is most likely needed. Okay, so that's baby step number one. We're just noticing, again, no judgment. We're just getting curious, going, this is interesting. I'm noticing I'm feeling this way.
Yeah.
These low vibrational emotions. Mm-hmm. And so a very simple baby step that everybody can right away is practice pausing before you say yes to anything. So pause before you say yes. So if somebody asks for your time, your energy, whatever it is, take a breath, like breathe in and then breathe out before you respond. And as you're doing that, just ask yourself, is this something that I truly want to do? If it is, do it. If not, don't do it. In one of the classes that I teach, I'll share this as well. One of the classes I teach, we do what I call live with every week. So every week they have Post-it notes, and I give them a screensaver for their phone, but they have Post-it notes up everywhere in their car, like I said, on their phone, the screensaver, all over their house, their bathroom mirror, everywhere. And there's a specific live with. One of the live with is yes or no. And so for an entire week, the only way they can answer any question is it yes or is it no? That's it.
Oh.
Do you want to go to a movie tonight? Is it yes or is it no? Do you want to, can you come in to stay late at work tonight? Is it yes or is it no? That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that helps as well. So that's a sneak peek, but that I'm sharing with you a little bit.
I love that because there's not in between. It's either way. So it's
yes
just
or is it
really
no?
about being true to ourselves and see how we feel in our bodies. And then based on that, as you said, like taking that pause and then give the response.
Taking the pause, giving the response, or the other thing is it yes or is it no? And you're going to get your answer like that. Like I'll give you another example. One of my classes, I was teaching my yes or no week. And so I got a dime. And I said, okay. And I asked for a volunteer and I said, come with something that you are at a crossroads with. Like it's either this or that. Like if I might do it, I might not. Like what is it? It's the decision you need to make. Yes, I'm going to do it. No, I'm going to do it. So she goes, okay, I'm ready. And I said, okay. And I didn't know what it was. And I said, okay, heads, what is heads? She's like, heads is yes. And I said, okay, so tails is no? She said, yes. So I did the dime and I said, okay, it's heads. She goes, okay. And I said, all right, so do you want me to stop there or do you want the best, like 2 out of 3? She goes, I want you to stop there. And I said, okay, so what does this tell you about what you already know? The answers are inside of us. We don't need a coin to tell us. We don't need to worry about what other people think. The answers are all within inside of us. If it feels heavy, the answer is going to be no. If it feels light, the answer is going to be yes. And so, it's all about starting small, just baby steps. So just starting with that, pause before saying yes, have fun. Is it yes or is it no? Like, you don't have to make drastic changes overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. At least it didn't for me. So I teach all of this and I still work on it. I still work on setting boundaries and I still work on my yeses and my nos. But if we start with one small boundary and maybe that's just, telling a friend that, I can't answer your calls after 7 p.m. at night because that's my family time. Maybe it's something just as simple as that.
Yeah.
You could try. Maybe like I set a outfit on Sundays, I do not go on my computer, which is really hard because I can work. But I don't go on my computers I try really hard not to go on my computer on Sundays. I don't do it every week, but for the majority of the time, I'm like, nope, this is my day to do whatever it is that I want because I need to fill my cup so that I'm full for the rest of the week, when it starts.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's great. If somebody asks me to go to dinner, first thing I look and say, is that in alignment with what I want? If I already had something planned on Saturday night, and maybe that was a bubble bath and a meditation with some incense and some good music, and I've been looking forward to it all week, and going to the dinner sounds a little bit draining, then I'm going to honor by saying yes to myself and saying no to them, and I don't have to explain. It's just no, but thank you for thinking of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things that, at least that I experienced, that we usually think about boundaries with other people, right? But what about self-boundaries, as you just said, with you not using your computers on Sundays? So how good are we with our own self-boundaries? Because I know that the more we practice those and we put those ones and we say, okay, no, this is a boundary. I respect it. I honor it with more reason. Then we're going to be able to then follow up those boundaries with other people. Because if we keep stepping into their own self-boundary, I mean,
100%. Yeah, definitely. And it's starting small. And then like, boundaries for ourselves. I don't answer phone calls after 7 o'clock at night. My phone is off. Like I don't go on social media very much anymore because that's draining. Because that's just a numbing activity anyway. So I'm doing more
Yeah.
things for myself. And I set that boundary that no, I'm not going to do that. Um, yeah. And so, yeah, I think that those are all really good tips that everybody can start using right away. And I think the final one would be releasing any limiting beliefs. And that's where the guilt is going to come from. If we have guilt. And so we have to shift that and release the guilt. The guilt we have for when we tell somebody no, or when we tell even ourselves no, because we're setting a boundary for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so remember that again, this is the writer downer for everybody listening, is that every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, you're saying no to yourself. And we don't want to be doing that. And so setting a boundary isn't about rejecting other people. It's about choosing you. Saying, I choose me. And when you do, then you're going to find that the people that you want in your energy, that you want around you, those are going to be the right people because they're going to respect you for it. And anybody
Exactly.
who doesn't is not going to probably be somebody that you want in your energy anyways. And that's okay
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's important to mention, because when we start setting boundaries, then people are gonna, a lot of people, well, I don't know, anyway, might walk away from us because they are not obtaining that benefit that they were getting while we were saying yes to everything that they were asking for. So I noticed that that's a normal thing that it will happen, that some people will walk away. And even when it might be hurtful at the beginning or painful, it's just when we standing in our truth and we say, yeah, I set these boundaries because of me, because of the benefit that I get, then at one point that pain, it will go away.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I work with women and I see it. They're exhausted. They're overwhelmed. They're not setting boundaries and they feel guilty when they're setting boundary because there's an underlying fear that they're not going to be accepted or someone's going to be upset with them. And again, that goes back to inner child, but that can be released. I'm able to release the limiting beliefs. I can show them how to do that, or they can find somebody that can help them release the limiting beliefs so that then they have the courage to step into their power and set boundaries without feeling guilty or selfish. Because when you're able to do that, the ease and the peace and the
Oh,
joy that come with that, like you're
yes.
just in stillness, you're connected to your body, like it's all just feels so good. And we don't want to be living our life full of guilt because we say no to something, and or beliefs that don't serve us anymore. They probably served us at one time and they did their job, and we'll pat them on the back and we'll say thank you, but we don't need them anymore. We
Yeah.
can move on. I'm passionate about this because this is the life that we're walking right now, and tomorrow's not promised. And when we get to the end, whenever that is, we don't want to look back and say, wow, I wish I would have set boundaries. I wish I would have done that. We want to say, wow, I did that. I showed up for myself. That was scary. I remember when I said no to that, but that was the best decision I ever made, because when we're saying no, it might be opening up a whole nother something for us, a
Mm,
connection with somebody, whatever it is that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Does that make sense? Does that
of
land?
course it does. Yeah. Yeah,
At this
definitely.
point, it's just down. So,
You know what you just said, it just brought me back to my previous marriage, because he used to drink a lot, and I was basically became her mom, like taking care of his finances, and then, hey, you're drinking too much, slow down, and all these things. And even though, like, I was trying to put the boundaries, until at one point I was like, no, this is not for me. Like, I'm tired to keep doing this, and so I have to put a boundary, like, for myself. And and at one point to say, I don't want this anymore. So I chose myself over that relationship because I couldn't anymore. And it was painful, it was
like,
hurtful, but sometimes that's the way it has to be. And as you said, then from there, then I got single. I mean, I did a lot of inner work and stuff. And my life now, I mean, it just I love it. And it keeps getting better and better. And for that simple, well, of
Oh
course,
my
there were
gosh,
many things in the
I
marriage,
love.
but that was one of the things. So choosing myself over there was something like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, we are so parallel. So I was married to 18 years to my kid's dad, alcoholic, and I kept thinking I could fix it. I
Mm,
kept thinking I could fix him. I kept thinking if I was a better wife. I kept thinking if I was more understanding, the kids were doing, everything was perfectly fine. I did nothing for myself until one day I looked around. I can't do this anymore. I have to choose me. And it was hard. It was
mhm.
very hard. But that's when I went on the path of self-healing. And, now, I mean, I'm single, but I'm married to myself. Like I date myself now. And
Yes,
I figure I've
likewise.
been in a relationship the first half of my life. I cannot be in a relationship except with myself the second half. And I absolutely love it. And there's such a peace and a joy that comes with that.
Oh,
But I
yes.
had to fight my way out. I talk a lot when I'm public speaking about this being in the dark pit. And that's what it is. It's like being in that dark pit and trying to crawl our way out. And it's difficult. And then we get in. And when we're able to let go that we're responsible for ourselves and we're able to set those boundaries, you're going to find the right people. The right people are
Yeah.
going to come. They're going to respect you. They're going to honor you for that.
Yeah, definitely. And as you
Mhm.
mentioned at the beginning, one of the things, like, I don't know you, but for me was more because of that safety. I was there in that relationship for 10 years and it was like, okay, but then breaking up this, there was still love, a lot of love in there. So that safety, or I mean, even though I have my job and everything, but it's you have a house together, it's like getting out of the comfort zone, better said. That's what it was like, but it
Oh,
kind of hold me
100%.
back a lot to
Mhm.
set the boundary and said finally, like, no, no, I'm out of here.
Because there's a fear of the unknown.
Yes.
Fear of the unknown can be when we're making a drastic change in our life, like contemplating a divorce,
Yeah.
or it could be just going through a self a help program or a mindfulness program or whatever it is, and we're growing and we're stretching, but we don't know what's on the other side of that because we haven't experienced it before.
Hmm.
So if you've not experienced what a boundary, for example, there's no proof that it's going to work. So our little critter brain goes into, fight or flight and says, whoa, 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 she's thinking of making a change. Quick, what can we do to stop her? Let's give her some fear, throw some fear at her. That's her, right? Throw some worry. Let's throw some low self-esteem at her, let's stop her because there's no proof that it's going to work. And
Yeah.
so quiet that mind down and being able to go within. And then from there, you'll be able to start setting the boundaries. And of course, in baby steps.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I would like to know if you would like to share like some of the questions that you ask your clients to then shift those limiting beliefs. What is something that you will ask them?
Well, I mean, that's a whole coaching session that I do privately with my clients when I'm working on limiting beliefs because it's going to be specific to each client,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I have to uncover where. So if it's boundary setting, for example, what's the underlining? Is it what is the fear that's there? Is the fear a safety issue? Is the fear of choosing themselves? They feel guilty, like what that is. But the first is noticing. Again, I would just say just getting curious. That'd be my advice, is to
Yeah.
just get curious and notice when they're not setting a boundary. And but I dive in with them privately, one on one, to help them uncover exactly what it is, and then I can usually release it within a few sessions. Inner child work, and then obviously something a little bit longer than that. But really, it's just, one thing viewers or listeners can ask themselves is just what is it you want to be experiencing? What do you want to be experiencing that you're not experiencing in your life right now?
I love that. Yes.
And then when you have that answer, and this is something they could even journal, you could journal this, what do you want to be experiencing in life that you're not experiencing? And then what will happen when you do experience? What else is possible? What else is possible that you haven't even thought of yet?
Mm-hmm. And I love that because, as you said, that's going to help us then to imagine and then getting out of that unknown, of that fear of the unknown. So we're going to be able to then take those baby steps to move forward, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just we want to keep moving forward, asking yourself, where I'm at right now, the same space from today. And we don't. We want to keep, like, I'm always evolving. All my clients, I have the same struggles as well. I'm just in a different space because I've been working on it for a while. But I still struggle with setting boundaries, or my little critter brain will shut me down. You sure you want to do that? And I'm like, no, we're okay. We're safe. There's, unless there's a, deadly gorilla with a banana getting ready to get us, we're okay. We're safe, right? And so it's just, what is it you want to be experiencing? And am I okay in this space? And what is it? We don't want to, time goes by so fast, and you don't want 6 months, a year from now, 5 years, and still be in the same space. You want to be calm. I figure I'm going to be learning to the day I take my last breath, which is hopefully a really long time from now. But there's always something to learn and grow and do. So
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I like helping my clients to set boundaries is really to make a list of like what's the boundary that they want to set, and then also put like who's that relationship with, because every relationship is different. So it's going to be different to put a boundary, I don't know, let's say with our mom, that with our partner, or with our kids or family, right? And then I had them like really imagining, like, okay, if you want to set a boundary, how can you approach it? Because most likely, if that is a close relationship, it's going to happen again. So it's like, okay, if you know it's going to happen again, how would you like to act? So they can kind of imagine and visualize it in a way in their head and say, okay, so I can do this or I can do that. So they are kind of like prepare in advance. So when they want to set the boundary, it might happen that they could do it the first time. Probably no, but at least they're going to have that awareness to say, oh, this is happening again. And okay, I noticing it's happening. I didn't do anything. And it's still okay. I'm aware now. So next time it could be, as you said, a little baby step. Because otherwise, if we want to take big steps, our nervous system is just going to shut down.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. No, I love that. And it's just saying, what that I want to draw, and then stick to that. If the boundary you want to draw is, when you're not going to stay late after work, or you're not going to be on your phone after 7, whatever, if somebody asks something, you're saying no to that. If somebody's complaining, gossiping, things like that, you don't want to be a part of that. And so you draw that boundary, and I love spending time with you. I love having our conversations, but just so you know, I have a no gossiping rule, and that's setting the boundary.
Yeah.
But I would love to hear about what's going on in your life, what's going well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love that, because it's about, like, as you said, those boundaries are for us to work in our favor. So, and then at the same time, when we get to do that, as you said, if you're interested in the life of that person, you're going to have more rich and nurturing conversations, right? Instead of having like a draining conversation or like a complaint or whatever thing. So it's really how, as you said, how do we want to experience our lives? And then based on that, set the boundary itself.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. I don't know if you would like to share something else, something related with the boundaries, or an experience that you have that is a bit like deeper, that it could be something nourishing for the audience that is listening.
Something having to do with boundaries that I've set personally, or
or anything else. I mean, about the people pleasing, if you had experience or something, whatever you would like to share.
I was the one that said yes to everything for years. I said yes to everything. And the thought of saying no, would put my stomach in knots, and because I didn't want to disappoint. And so as I started going through, my journey of self-healing. And I started to set boundaries. I remember one of the first boundaries that I set, somebody had asked me, they wanted me to be, like on a for-profit board to help them. And they needed
Nonprofit, you
another,
say?
I think it was a nonprofit, if I
Okay.
recall. Yeah, it was a
Okay.
while ago. A nonprofit, and they needed so many people on the board, and they asked if I wanted to be a part of it. And so I sure, without breathing and checking in with myself. And then I thought about it, and I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. I have to tell them. And so I did. I said, I'm not, I thought about it. I'm not going to, that's not something I can be engaged in. And they actually took it really well. And so then I was like, well, this wasn't so bad. And so since then, I mean, that was probably, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years ago. Um, Setting boundaries, I don't even think about it. It's just the way I am. And if somebody asks something, again, I feel it with my very in tune with my energy as a Reiki master. And so I can feel within my body. So I don't listen to my thoughts as much. I listen to how my body feels. That's me. That's what I do. So my body on, even when I'm coaching a client, my body guides me on what I'm going to say or how I'm going to coach. Um, but the inner peace that comes with that, I don't feel is taught. You have to experience it, but the inner peace that comes with when you're able to set boundaries and when you're able to fill your cup first and when you're able to let go of the fear or the limiting beliefs, there's such a peace, an inner peace that comes from that you realize everything that we're searching for our whole lives has been us the entire time. And so it's just going on the journey of self-discovery and bringing in curiosity, not judging ourselves. Big one that would judge myself and beat myself up if I said the wrong thing or did the wrong thing. And now I'm like, oh, okay, well, I learned. I guess I won't do it that way again. I tried, it didn't work. I just much more in my flow. And so that's what I encourage for everybody listening is to just, it's okay, and it's okay. It's okay to say no. And it's okay to notice and get curious if there's a fear there, if there's an underlying belief, and then ask ourselves, well, where did that come from? Like, who said that to me? Where did that come from? And most likely it was childhood. And then you can always dive into inner child work, which is really actually a lot of fun to do. I love inner child work.
Yeah, taking care of the little one, definitely. It's a beautiful work
Hmm.
to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful share. Because, as you said, we do have all the answers within. It's really about taking the time, the stillness to do that self-discovery, because that's the only way for us to know what we really want and also to discover what we don't want. Usually we know what we don't want, but then it's about, okay, so what do we want? What do we deserve? Right? Because we don't know that there is so much conditioning and so much programming since we are born, caregiver society and all that, that we feel lost and we just follow the status quo. And that's why then prioritizing everyone except ourselves is part of that. And because of that, we never dare to look ourselves in the mirror and really look at ourselves and see what is there deep down.
Exactly. You're right on. You're 100%, 100%. That's beautiful. And it's remembering too, we are the writer, we are the director, we are the producer of our lives. We do not get a do-over, and you get to live your life however you want. And if you're, people pleasing or not setting boundaries or, self-sabotaging, whatever it is, we get to turn the page and we get to write a new chapter.
Yes.
And if we need help with that, there's plenty of resources out there that can guide us and help us and hold our hand or set us up for accountability or whatever it is. But I think that's the thing, is remembering that we get to write our destiny. We get to write what do we want it to look like? What kind of life do we want to be living? And then, because we get to choose to say, okay, this is the type of life I want to lead and live, and I don't know how to do it. I'm going to get help to guide me so that I can live my best life and I can fill my cup first without feeling guilty or selfish.
Yeah. And we got to start there. At least when after my separation, then divorce, I really focused in my self-care. Because I thought that I loved myself until I realized that that was a lie. And then the more self-care I was doing in me, the more curious, as you said, because it was already curiosity, I guess, is when the judgment start kind of like fading away. And is when with that curiosity to see, okay, so, oh, I like this. Oh, I don't like this anymore. And then see what was like already outdated. And then what was something that I wanted to experience. And then from there, it's how we keep like really like evolving and making the life more fun. Because when we stop then growing, I mean, I don't know, at least for me, like self-healing, like going deep and exploring more and more, for me, I like it. I know some people, they are afraid of it because what they are going to face. But for what you have mentioned from your experience, of what I understand is it is worth going deep. It is worth going to that shadow part, because once we understand it and accept it, the light, all the light that comes in.
It is. Yep, absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
just
I remember for
amazing.
years going, well, how do I love myself? I think I love myself. I don't know what it's supposed to feel like. What does this love feel like? I don't know. I was something on like an Oprah show way back in the day, and I don't remember who the guest was, and they were talking about, loving yourself, and the guest, oh, this is absolutely like, I'm amazing, I'm amazing, I'm wonderful, I'm fabulous. And I'm just like, okay, they're talking about this, but how do you get it? It's not something you get, it's something that's inside of us. I think the thing to remember too is that change is scary because what's on the other side. So our little critter brain is doing everything it can to halt us, to say, oh, nope, you can't afford that. Oh, nope, that's not going to work. Oh, nope, you've tried that. It's not going to work, because we haven't gone through it. But I promise, it is scarier to stay stuck where you're at than it is to go through the transformation. And once it's like, why didn't I not do this years ago? This is what everybody was talking about. This is what it feels like. It's like a secret little club, and it's amazing. But we can get there. I can get my clients there quickly, and it's not scary. It seems scary, but it's not. I promise it's scarier to stay stuck and not set boundaries.
Yeah, I agree that it's worse to stay stuck in there than move forward, because it's going to be a few moments, of discomfort, pain, or whatever it is. But once we get out of it, it's just, it's just amazing what we can experience and live every single day from there if we want to.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful. So Tina, would you like to share anything else before we close today's interview with you? It has been an honor. Seriously, this conversation is, I have enjoyed it a lot.
This is so fun.
Yes.
It went by so fast. I'm like, wow, there's so much more to talk about. I think just as a takeaway is just to remember to fill your cup first, and to start your day with intention. Start your day. I always start my morning slow. With coffee and journaling, and that's my quiet time. But giving yourself time every day. For me, I love starting my day that way because there's something peaceful about nourishing. So I love the quiet mornings, where I can just sit with my thoughts and my minds and just allow space. That's where my clarity comes from. But just fill your cup first, to just give yourself permission to take time out for yourself, even if it's, I always say 30 minutes a day. And I say, I don't care if it's 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes in the evening, That's like 3%, 5% of your day. That's
Yeah,
it.
it's almost nothing.
Doing for you. Not that doesn't mean watching Netflix. That doesn't mean scrolling on social media or playing a game or anything like that, but just no phone, just be with yourself. Because that's where you start to connect and start asking deep, powerful questions. What is it that I want in life? What is it I want to be experiencing? And that's going to allow that space for that clarity, right, to come in. And changes happen, but they happen, in small moments like that, and taking a time out for ourselves when we're able to just really pause and just be present with ourselves, feel our heart beating, engage our senses, just look around, there's beauty all around us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, there's beauty all around us. If we choose to see beauty, we're gonna see it. That's for sure.
Yes.
And I believe that beauty, it had to start by us looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, yeah, I am enough. I am worthy. And I know how to set empowering boundaries so I can honor myself.
Yep, honoring your yes.
Yes. And I have a question for you before we close. What is a pleasure of you that you enjoy?
Well, I enjoy the sunrise, the sunsets. I love taking that time out for myself. Like I said, meditation. I'm an avid meditator. Those are the things make my life more enjoyable and more pleasurable, is giving myself timeouts, is what I call it, putting myself in timeout. And on the days that I don't, then I feel it in my body. So I love quiet time with myself. I love spending time with myself.
Yeah, that's very inspiring. I call it me time. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you again, Tina. It has been a pleasure having you here. You brought a lot of
Thank you
wisdom.
so much. This was so much fun.
Yeah,
Thank
it was
you.
so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning into Midlife Butterfly. If this episode lit a spark in you, hit that subscribe or follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you love to listen, so you'll never miss the magic. If you're feeling generous, drop a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps this empowering content reach more souls ready to transform their lives. And don't forget to take a photo of you while listening and share it on your socials. You can tag me at KenasYou so I can celebrate you and your expansion. Until next time, keep spreading those wings and living in joy, growth, and pleasure.